Okay, so we're still at day 3 of the Cinder PTG, I think. And we're being joined by people from Nova, so thanks for joining us. And I guess, Sylvain, you can let me know when you think everybody who's interested in participating. Hi, Sean. Everyone who's interested in participating is here. And I can't see everybody in the interface, so don't be offended if I'm not recognizing that you're here. Hi, Gibby. Okay.
Yeah, so looking at people that we have in the room, yeah, I think we can probably start.
Okay, great. All right. And I think this is another topic. This has been Rajat Day at this PTG.
Brian, if I could just interrupt you with some trivia. I'm using the BlueJeans app, and there's like 2 scroll buttons where you can scroll through the pages of participants in the meeting.
So I don't have that on mine, but I'm using, you got some kind of fancy Mac, right? I'm
running BlueJeans on a Mac, yeah.
Yeah, see, I'm running BlueJeans on Fedora 28 or something. And
all right. I just thought I'd mention in case you missed.
I'm getting what I deserve is basically by not upgrading, I think.
Okay. Sorry for
fancy Macs.
Okay. Rajat, I'll shut up and so everybody, I think you may know Rajat by now, but you can say hi, Rajat, and then start the discussion.
Yeah, hi. So this was a feature long proposed back in Stein initially, and there was some initial work through it. So basically, this is the option to rebuild an instance which is volume backed. So Nova currently provides the support for ephemeral volumes, but not for volume backed. So this was a feature current in development, but somehow it got stopped. It was reproposed again somewhere around Victoria, but was never worked upon. I don't see any updates in patch sets. So I wanted to pick this up. So I've reproposed this. I took the concerns from previous patches. There was one concern from Nova team that we should do, after the reimage is completed on the Cinder side, we should do an external events call to this, to the Nova API to tell the operation is completed, which was being done in a synchronous way before. So that I've addressed in the Cinder side code and the specs. And there was one more concern from Brian that the expectation from persistent volumes is that they are non-destructive. So this will wipe out all the data. So that also I've mentioned in the spec. So basically this the implementation consists of implementing a new reimage API on the Cinder side with a new micro version, and Nova would call it. So Nova has this thing of doing things like it creates a new attachment. I've seen that in migration and one other operation. So it creates a new attachment, it deletes the old attachment. So that leaves the instance in reserve state. And then we perform the operation, this reimage thing. And when it gets completed, we notify Nova, and Nova does send a new connector. So we do the attachment again, and that marks the completion of this operation.
Can we do the attach directly without calling Nova and then calling back us? Because they can provide the connector information directly, right?
So the initial call is to create an empty attachment and just marks that volume in reserved to start the reimage operation. So at which step?
The reimage is a call to Nova, right? Not Cinder.
It's to Cinder. Cinder adds this new API to reimage.
Can you walk through the workflow? So the user is going to call Cinder's API to do image. What's the first thing that Nova gets? And can you just go through the call sequence?
So the user is going to call the Nova API, Nova rebuild operation, and then Nova is going to call Cinder to do the reimage.
But that's what I was referring, that the call is to Nova. So Nova can already, when it calls the new reimage operation, can already provide us the connector information. And we can do the reimage directly, create the attachment, and just on our call to Nova, we can just give them the connection information directly and the attachment with all the ID, the connection information and everything. So we reduce the number of calls that we do.
Yeah, I totally get it now. We skip one step of notifying Nova and then again passing the connector. So basically,
You
like,
still need to notify Nova though, right? That you're finishing the reimage, because we're going to have to reattach it to the VM at that point, right? But because we can't have this mounted to the VM live while you're reimaging. So we're going to have to detach the volume, reimage it, reattach it afterwards. Or like a normal rebuild, we would be restarting the VM. We'd stop the VM, we would reimage the file on disk, and then we'd start it again with the new image.
Yeah, so Nova would do the disconnect, then call Cinder. Cinder would probably destroy that volume, create a new one, connect it to the Nova host, and say, I'm finished. This is your new connection information. Nova would call OS break and then attach it to the.
So when you say we'll destroy the volume we create, you actually mean that in the back end, though, right? Because the volume UID when we image it shouldn't change, correct?
Yep.
Okay.
yeah, so traditionally I've seen Nova doing this. It creates an empty attachment and then it calls the attachment update. So there it does the to call API. But I think we could include the connector information in the reimage API. We could pass it to that, and that reimage operation could do the attachment update from there. So yeah, that would save us some time. I like the idea.
Yeah, because Nova is doing that right now to very clearly differentiate the stages where they are in the attachment process. So yeah, but we don't need to do that.
So I just briefly looked at the Victoria spec that was already created, and now I remember the concern that I got, not only me, by the way. I mean, if I remember correctly, the idea was to delete the attachment first, then Nova will call the will call the Cinder API to ask for the rebuild, to reimage rather, and then wait for an event, right? That was the proposed spec. The problem that I got with this spec was that then Nova will be waiting for some Cinder event, but in case of an upgrade, we're not having like knowledge of whether Cinder will provide at this specific event. So we could be like deleting the attachment and wait forever. So
we do for micro versions, though, right? We know if the Cinder is new enough because we can check.
Yeah, so I have also mentioned that case. This was also one of concern that. So initially Nova could check if Cinder supports that micro version, and then do the operation.
So that would be a call, a first call, right? That will happen when.
Well, when we're doing the reimage call, that's a new micro version to introduce that new reimage feature anyway. So we know if that's available, that the reimage can then wait, because we would introduce the event sending with that feature, correct?
So yeah, sorry, Shana, I don't get you. If we provide this micro version, that means that we are able to propose this feature to the users, right?
So the micro version that introduces the reimage feature would also be the one that introduces the sending of the event. So either that micro version exists and I can call the API to reimage it, or Cinder isn't new enough, in which case I'll see that it's below the required micro version for that reimage command, and then on the Nova side, we just say we can't do this because it's too old.
Oh, okay. You're talking about the Cinder micro versions, right? Not another micro version. Okay, hence my confusion. My bad. Okay, got it. So okay, then I get it. If we are able to negotiate this micro version, that also means that we are able to get this event. I got it. Okay.
I don't think we require Nova micro version for this, so yeah.
So we may or may not need the Nova one, because we're not changing the payload to the API on the Nova side. We would just get back a 400 not implemented or whatever if it didn't work. I think we already blocked this at the API, basically, if you tried to do this today. So basically, if either Cinder wasn't new enough or we weren't new enough, you get the old exit code or error code.
Yeah.
And if it was, then it would just call the new API on the Cinder side.
Yeah. If we are not able to negotiate, then we'll serve the same exception as if we are not having this micro version.
Just I have a small bit of deja vu. I'm sure when we've had a case like this before, we said bump the micro version to tell people we've got a new feature. And then we said we wouldn't.
And then
we said we didn't do that.
No, we did that for QoS with neutron ports. So the original minimum bandwidth spec, I believe we put in a microversion signal that you could now do this request. And then later we decided that was a bad idea, and we didn't put in a second one because when we're changing from not supporting line migration to supporting move operations with this, we decided not to do another microversion for this.
Yeah. Was that a mistake?
I think
microversions are for describing API-specific changes. So the API behaved the exact same way. There wasn't an API visible change, right?
Well, I called the API, then the API got changed, and now it works. But I guess the thing is that it doesn't matter. Let's ignore it.
I think this exists in the same category as things that work on the libvirt driver but not on the Hyper-V driver or whatever.
Yeah. Poor old user wants to know if it works, but I guess they can just call it.
We could probably debate that in the Nova spec without impacting the cross-project piece, though, right? So.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It doesn't matter. Sorry, yeah.
I just wanted to bring that up so that, if it still makes sense to do this, I know we have a customer requesting this, but if it still makes sense for both the projects to do this.
I think it does because it closes the parity gap we have right now with boot from volume being just different from if you don't boot from volume in terms of repos. So.
Yeah, I think it's a really useful thing to add. It is one of those, you try the API, it says no, you look up the docs and you bang your head against the wall, right? It's definitely one of those.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, anything else about?
Just one last point. So, do we agree that we delete the attachment before we call the rebuild the reimage API?
Yes, that needs to be done because the volume is going to be different. So that attachment, or may be different. Let me put it another way. If we decide that it's faster to do a clone and connect a new one, that connection information will not be useful.
Yeah.
So instead of.
Sorry, I wasn't saying that we should be doing the attachment deletion after the reimage. My only concern was again about the possibility to have I mean, there are two possibilities. Either we say, okay, let's delete the attachment, try to call Cinder about the reimage API, negotiate with Cinder to have the reimage, and if Cinder is old, then we say sorry, but no, but then we deleted the attachment. Or we make a preventive call to Cinder to first negotiate the API. Somehow.
I think we can do that preemptive call because we do that with Neutron and we cache it for some number of minutes. So it's cheap.
Okay, I'm cool with that because I'm a bit afraid of deleting the attachment and then having some kind of exception in terms of exception.
I mean, even if it supports us, they could have configured policy in a weird way that we get it rejected anyway. So
yeah, agreed.
Okay, Rajat, you know what to do next?
Yeah, I have a pretty good idea now.
Okay. All right, thanks. All right, next one up, Luigi. I'm not sure. I can't. My interface doesn't let me see everybody.
I'm
Luigi's
here. I'm
okay.
here.
All right, thank you. All right, Luigi's got a topic for everybody.
Yeah, hopefully it's very, very quick. It's more a call for action from Nova side, because this is something. So destack-plugin-nfs, I think the maintainership is kind of shared. But the problem is that I'm not sure if it's shared also with compute. But anyway, we have a problem right now because all the jobs, all the patches for the DevStack plugin NFS are blocked by a failure in ussuri, which is tracked by that bug created by Lee a few months ago. But it definitely needs someone to look into it, probably related to the specific combination in ussuri, which is still Bionic, not vocal. But with additional some newer version of Python than train, where everything works. And the problem is that so everything is blocked because we have like cross-checking jobs which also test ussuri. One way could be disable them, but it's kind of that's not probably optimal. Even though ussuri is going to be extended maintenance soon, but still we still have train active, and if we want to backport patches to train, we would like to have everything in place. So that's basically, please, everyone could take a look at that so that we can unblock the long queue of patches for DevStack plugin-nfs.
So this is specifically when we've created a snapshot of the server and then we delete the snapshot and we're reverting back to the non-snapshot based QCOW image, right? We used the wrong file, or we got a conflict.
To be honest,
causing that error, right?
I haven't checked in the details, the logs, sorry.
So the one that Lee has pulled out in comment too is basically saying that the file names don't match what was expected. And I think there was a bug where if we do a snapshot, we get with the base disk, we have the user's disk, and we've got the snapshot disk, and we've got the three layers. And then when we delete the snapshot, we expect to go to the bottom one, I think, or something like that, or we do a block commit where we merge it back down. And we can get out of sync between what Nova expects and what Cinder expects, I think. So I don't know if there's a simple fix for this. I know that Lee had kind of figured out roughly where it was, but I don't think he'd come up with a solution.
You know why it broke in ussuri?
So this could be related to things like locking, and propagation works differently on NFS v3 versus v4 as well. Right? We know we've seen issues with that in the past. Do we know if Bionic is using NFS v3 and all the other ones using NFS v4 or anything like that?
It's ussuri when we moved.
Well, we started supporting NFS before that. I just don't know when we started to use it in the API, or not the API, in the CI. So, okay, just actions we can take away from this. Should I be setting the gate blocker flag here? Right. So we can track this as a gate bug that we can hopefully resolve, because you said this is blocking self-emerging on your side.
Yeah, and that also means blocking like an important fix, for example, for the on the NFS. So because we cannot test it, I mean, anyway, yes, I consider that as a gate blocker.
Okay, and so I can set that now in the tags, but should we add the other plugin? Like, is it just the only other component that makes sense here, the DevStack NFS plugin, or should we also have a Cinder bug against this? I mean, we can, I guess it's been highlighted now that we need to look at this again. I don't have the expertise right now to look into exactly why that's failing, but we can at least bring that back up on the Nova side and we can see if we can take a look at it.
This plan
Okay.
B, I think if it's not progressing, then we just turn off the test case, probably. To unblock you to merge things without this fix. I don't know when we will be able to like look into that. He's out for peak at least. So it will probably take time.
Okay. Let's see. I need to talk probably also with okay, Eric, who's taking care of this. I think it's the person who took care more of this repository. But he had some connection troubles with the connectivity. And see what's better in this case. Okay, but thanks. I get we have all the answers and the data to move forward somehow in one direction or another, or both.
All right, thanks. Okay, those were the only specific topics we had. I don't know if anybody's thought of stuff while we've been discussing here. If there's anything.
I have one. I don't know if this has already been fixed. Cinder used to hard code, or at least OOO when it was deploying Cinder. I don't know if this is an actual Cinder problem. OOO used to deploy Cinder using the Nova admin endpoint so that it could send the external events, because at least at some point in the past, Cinder was using the user's token to do that when we were doing a resize, which meant that a normal user couldn't do a resize. You had to be an admin to do an online volume resize. Has that been fixed? Because Cinder should have been calling Nova with the admin client and not using the token.
I don't know.
Because I know it was fixed in OOO and in OSP in a product by actually hard coding the token because it didn't actually fix it in Cinder. I don't know if it's been fixed since then, and that's been there since OSP 30.
Yeah, I have not heard of that one.
Okay.
So
maybe I can sync with you afterwards and just see how you're actually creating the client that's used to send the external events to Nova. But when I looked at previously, I think the issue was literally just using the user's token rather than creating an admin client to send that event.
I suspect we're still doing the same thing. But yeah, let me look. So because this came up in a different context, I thought. So to contact the events API, that is supposed to be an admin only API from Nova's
Yes,
point of view.
yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll follow up on that because we should respect that. That's how it's supposed to work, right? Okay.
It came up in the ORBAC context.
So the OOO solution you were talking about is just to change that specific policy, so that an end user can
No. The OOO workaround is that they do not get the URL from Keystone. They contact the admin endpoint directly, which means that gets the isAdmin flag set on it. Yeah.
Okay. I'll put a note here.
Feature I totally discovered this week from Sean. Didn't know that was a thing. Don't know if that was just me.
I can quickly go and see if I can find the bugs and just throw them into the Etherpad so you can see, but effectively the trail that I've seen for this is it got fixed in OOO for an OSP release because something reporter was broken by doing this hack around because they couldn't change the code. Then that got transported into OpenStack Ansible, so they also now do that. I don't know if it ever got fully resolved. So it may already be addressed, and we just need to file bugs against OOO and OSA to stop doing this. Or it could still be a Cinder bug where we just need to use the right client.
But which operation was it again? You remember?
I believe it's resize. So anytime that Cinder today is calling back the events API, it needs to use the admin token.
We're probably still doing that. I'm looking at the Nova client code in Cinder, and it looks like we say if it's privileged, let's load the authentication config option from Cinder config directly. So it doesn't look like it's looking at the catalog or anything.
Well, it's
Oh,
not
that's
that you
okay.
be looking at the catalog. It's that whenever you're creating that client, you should be passing like admin true or whatever to make sure that you use admin tokens, not reuse the token from the user request to the resize.
It doesn't look like we are passing to the Nova client anything regarding the admin equals true or anything. We pass version, session, insecure, timeout, region name, endpoint type. Here is cert, global request ID, and extensions. So nope, we don't seem to be passing that yet. And it seems that it should be trivial to add it right there, I would say. So if you have the back from Launchpad, we can have a look. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll get that offline. I have it in my history. I just don't have it to hand.
Yeah. Thanks.
All right, thanks. Yeah, that should hopefully be an easy fix. Any other stuff?
Okay, so I just found the OSA one, so I'll just pop that into chat. I think there's a separate one alpha as well, but let me just.
It does seem to
grab
say
that.
privileged equals true.
Uh,
Maybe it's fixed already.
yeah,
It's got a
so
chat. Oh yeah, no.
it's been disabled, so I put in the etherpad at the end of
Yeah,
the section.
yeah.
So, Cinder extend policy does not allow OS compute API servers to be performed, and the workaround was effectively to hard code it. And then it points to this Red Hat knowledge-based solution, which is horrible, where it basically does this. And then that got implemented into O as well as a workaround. So, as I said, I don't know if this still exists, but that was a annoyance that I was aware of. And if we're going to be using the events API for the reimage stuff, we should try and fix this while we're at it.
Yeah, I agree about that.
It's odd. I don't see it always using privileged user equals true for the Nova client thing. The event, anyway. Might be somewhere else.
Okay, that was the only thing I wanted to bring up anyway, so I don't know if we have anything else.
All right, great. Well, we appreciate you guys dropping by, so thanks. And enjoy the rest of the PTG.
No worries. And for the Nova folks, I think you can have 30 minutes back if you wish. See you tomorrow at 1 p.m.
It's good. See you all.
Okay. See
To
you.
John. I'm going to stop the recording.